Do 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 do. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and I've been going through a series of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. And I decided to do it one video per movie. That way I have plenty of time to go through my top 5 favorite movies and really dig into them. I'm really glad I did that because, as it turns out, I just turned this camera on and started talking about my favorite movies, and I could just seriously talk, man. I can just talk. So, as you can probably tell, for video number 5, one of my top favorite movies of all time is Superman. With Christopher Reeve, Gene Hackman, Margot Kidder. This was a fantastic movie. It is cheesy, okay? I'm gonna let you know, if you've never seen this movie, first off, what? You've never seen this movie? Secondly, you should see this movie. And third, it is the pure definition of a comic book corny, hokey movie. This is almost as hokey as it gets. But it's amazing how something could be so corny and so hokey and so good at the same time. And it's funny because I watched through this movie, and Superman doesn't have too many action scenes. He doesn't really fight a super villain in this particular movie, but there's just something about it that just captures one's imagination. I remember when I was a kid and I watched this movie for the first time, it has stuck with me forever. I credit this movie to being my entry into the world of superheroes. Just like in terms of comic books, Superman was the very first superhero. Superman was the very first superhero I ever saw. This was like the very first superhero thing I'd ever seen and been introduced to, and it has stuck with me forever. Christopher Reeve is an iconic and fantastic Superman, and I just absolutely love this movie. So I credit this movie to my love of Superman. And, you know, I don't even know what to say about this movie, because just like what I said with my Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, it's one of those movies that it spoke to me as a kid, and it has stuck with me. So going even beyond a technical review, where I could review the acting, I could review the screenplay, I could review the plot, I can review the characters, or this or that, it goes beyond that for me. It goes to the point that when I pop this thing in the Blu-ray player and I hit play, I am having fun from the very beginning to the very end. Now, yes, as I'm watching it, I can't help but notice how corny it is, but it's the 1970s. First off, this was pretty impressive for the 1970s. Their tagline was, "You will believe a man could fly." And I could believe that if you're watching this movie for the first time in the 70s, this was fantastic. This was epic, with Marlon Brando as Jor-El and his head in that big, huge ice column, kind of the first ever Zordon. Like, you know, like, that's just incredible effects. The fact that, you know, Superman just flies, man. He flies pretty good in this movie. So, like, it looks good. Even for the 70s, I think it looks pretty good. I mean, yeah, it doesn't hold up to what we can do today, but I'm talking about for the 70s, and you look at it in that context, it's like, wow, that's really good. So I can even picture how people, their imaginations are enthralled when they go see this on the big screen, because it looks like he's flying, man. It looks like he's flying through space. And so, like, that's amazing. I think the acting in this movie is overall pretty fantastic. Margot Robbie, no. Margot Kidder was a good Lois Lane. I think my favorite Lois Lane, though, is Erica Durance on Smallville. I just feel like she absolutely nailed the character. But I think Margot Kidder did a fantastic job in the role. I think, you know, she did what she was asked to do, and she did it really, really well. And, you know, she was a pretty good love interest there with Christopher Reeve. But Christopher Reeve, he's the selling point of this movie. I mean, you could look at all the other cast. Gene Hackman is the next standout. Like, he's a great Lex Luthor. It's hokey, but for this being that comic book hokey thing, he's a great Lex Luthor. But there's Christopher Reeve, who transcended even the comic book hokiness, who just transcended even what this script was. The dude had a performance that transcended it. Like, you look in his eyes, and that's Superman. Like, that is the Superman to compare all Superman to. Now, Tom Welling did a great job on Smallville. Oh my gosh, I forget his name. On The New Adventures of Superman, he did a great job. I love Henry Cavill as Superman. But, like, Christopher Reeve, there's just something about his performance of Superman that transcends that time, that transcends that script, that you just watch, and you're like, that's Superman. If Superman were real, if Superman were to exist and walk this earth, that would be him. The personality, the mannerisms, and Christopher Reeve did this better than any other actor. Clark Kent and Superman were two different people, the way that he did it. Honestly, we always make fun of the fact that Superman puts on glasses and we don't recognize him. Well, if he's the Christopher Reeve Superman, there's a reason. He is not the same person between those two characters.
The Daily Planet has a tradition.
I'm sorry.
Well, I certainly hope this little incident hasn't put you off flying, miss.
And no other characterization of Superman has done it better. None. When Christopher Reeve is Clark Kent, I mean, he's slouched, he's slunched, he's so nerdy, it's hilarious, he's so clumsy and all that stuff. His voice, it's more nasally. Everything about him, from his mannerisms to his acting to his reactions, is radically different. And when you watch Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, one of my favorite scenes in the Richard Donner cut is when Lois finds out Clark is Superman, and so she shoots him with a blank. But it's funny because you have Clark hunched over, talking all nasally and doing his thing. When she shoots the gun, he thought there was a bullet in there, and he stands up straight. Suddenly, his entire mannerisms change. You hear the do. Christopher Reeve made a clear-cut difference between Clark Kent and Superman, so that even though he's wearing the glasses, you would never think that Clark Kent could ever be Superman. I love his Superman characterization. I love how bold. I love how strong. I love how confident. I love how polite. I love how overly nice and slightly naive Superman is. He's slightly naive. He is. So let's just be honest about that. But his heart it's great. He's captured the heart of it. I love those original 4 movies. Even though we would all love to pretend Superman 3 and 4 don't exist, and then Superman Returns was made, ignoring Superman 3 and 4. But the ironic thing is I try to ignore the existence of Superman Returns. But still, all 4 of those original movies hold a place in my heart, but none like that first one. There is just something about it that captures the imagination, and something about that characterization of Superman that has stuck with me, and I love that Superman. Now, I love Man of Steel. I think Henry Cavill does a great job for a 21st century Superman. I think he's awesome. I think Tom Welling is another one of my favorite Supermen because I really love Smallville. But Christopher Reeve, that's it. That's top of the line, and I love it. So Superman the movie will always be one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. What is your favorite incarnation of Superman? Smallville, The New Adventures of Superman, the Christopher Reeve Superman, Henry Cavill Superman? What is your favorite incarnation? Let me know in the comments. While you're there, hit the subscribe button and become a Durbanian. Next to the subscribe button is that bell. Click the bell. That way you're notified the moment I drop new videos. Next week, Cody Leach is going to join me here on Durbania, and just like I went through the Fast and the Furious franchise for the first time with Matique, so you can check those videos out because those are really cool. I have never watched Alien, never gone through that original franchise. I've only seen Prometheus, so I will be going through Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, all those movies for the very first time, and Cody Leach and I will be reviewing those, and it's going to be really fun. So make sure you check that out, hit that bell so you're notified the moment those videos drop. So do all that. I'm Durbin. Thank you for checking out Durbania.